Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our East Bay Regional Parks District Board of Operations Committee here on the 8th of February at just after 12:30 p.m. And we have several really wonderful items to discuss this morning. Let's start with a roll call vote, or a roll call of the board.
Okay, Director Rosario.
Here.
Director Wieskamp.
Here.
Chair Corbett.
Here.
AGM O'Connor.
Here.
Staff presenters and participating staff attending today include Ruby Tumber, Tiffany Margalisi, Jeff Manley, Scott Posehn, Steve Castile, Ann Castlebaum, Ren Bates, Renee Patterson, David Renchie, and Robert Kennedy.
Oh.
Today's meeting is held in pursuant to the Brown Act as amended by AB 361. Board members and staff may participate via phone, video conferencing. Today's meeting is being conducted virtually with live audio and video streaming provided. Public comments may be submitted live via Zoom, email, or voicemail as noted on the agenda located on the Park District website. If there are no questions about the meeting procedures, we will begin.
Questions, anyone? All right, well, thank you very much. We're all here, and now we're ready for our very first item on the agenda, which is a review of the Seabreeze Market License Renewal at McLaughlin East Shore State Park. Good morning, Ms. Margalucci. Margalucci. I'm sorry, got that wrong again. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Tiffany Margalisi, Business Services Manager, and AGM O'Connor, did you want to make any opening remarks?
I think the only thing I'd like to say is I think the board members present know that we've been anticipating this first phase of development at the Brickyard, the Berkeley Brickyard facility. And magically it's going to be done. My understanding is we are hopefully opening this spring, this new facility that's been waited for a long time. So it's pretty exciting to get the first phase done. So, and of course, the Seabreeze has been at this location for many, many years, serving the public that use the park and the Bay Trail. So that's all I have to say, and I'll pass it over to you, Tiffany.
Okay, great, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and then I'm going to share my screen. And do we see the notes screen?
Yes, it's a note screen.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So here we are. Thank you for that intro. And this is the review of the Seabreeze Market License Agreement at McLaughlin East Shore State Park. So for the presentation, I'll be talking about where it's located, the background. It has a long history here at this location, the term, the fees, and then our recommendation. As I start the presentation, I'd like to acknowledge Park Supervisor Scott Posehn is here, Unit Manager Jeff Manley, Capital Programs Manager Ren Bates, as well as Jen Lee representing the Seabreeze Deli. This shows the location of where McLaughlin East Shore State Park is located along the bay, and here with University Avenue and the frontage road right along the East Shore Highway. This is where the Seabreeze Market and Deli is. It has been in operation at this location since 1982. It is converted shipping containers. And you may not realize it when you're in the store, but if you look at it from the side view that I show here, or the aerial view, it is in fact shipping containers toggled together to create the deli and market. It is the relationship with the Park District and Seabreeze Market and Deli is a license agreement for the use of the land. This is not a Park District concession. We do not own this building. We do not maintain it in any way. It is owned by Jen Lee, the building itself, who is here on the call to answer questions later. As I mentioned, it has been here quite a while. It's had changing uses over the years for those that are familiar with the site. The main use is the food preparation. There's about seating for around 35 or so people. In the past, there was bike rentals and seasonal pumpkin sales and Christmas tree sales, and that has been discontinued. And the focus today really is on the food and market sales. The original owner prior to Jen Lee had entered into a one-year term with the Park District and then with 2 one-year options back in August of 2000. And the rent started out at just about $1,300 a month. In 2004, the Seabreeze was sold to Jenny Lee, and the district agreed to that sale. And since then, that license agreement has been extended in 1 or 2 year terms all the way until now. And as AGM O'Connor said in his introduction, the reason we've been doing these short-term extensions is pending the adjacent development that's been going on at this location. And now that that's complete, we are looking to propose a longer term, which I'll get to in a moment. Talking a little bit more about what is sold at Seabreeze, they sell different types of packaged and prepared foods, deli sandwiches, fried fish, and it's very reasonable prices, but somewhere between $5 and $12 to get some snacks and nourishment before either heading out to the Bay Trail or out to the marina. Over time, the Park District has been increasing the rent with the extensions we've been doing, and the current rent is $3,206 a month. I've included some more pictures to take a look at the Seabreeze. If you were to go there today, there is a huge road construction project underway that the city is doing. So this area over here is being worked on currently by the city. Here's an older picture, and this shows across the street for many years, there was a homeless encampment right across the street. And this has presented a lot of challenges over the years in terms of just being able to operate the site and have a very welcoming site for people. So you can see this in the picture, and this has now been cleaned up and is vacant. That is I believe that's a Caltrans property, and they are working on creating some fencing as part of their cleanup of the site. There's some more pictures if you haven't been there. It's a basic, you can get some fresh fruit, healthy snacks, smoothies, coffee, and then they have the sandwich side of things as well. So I think one of the themes and main recommendations we have today is to move to a longer term with Seabreeze. And staff is proposing an initial 5-year term with a possible 5-year extension. And in conversations with Jen Lee, who is the business owner, she has shared with us that that would give her some more ability to plan and know that the market is going to be there, and then go ahead and implement some of her deferred maintenance that she would like to take care of, painting the exterior, fixing things. But having been on these shorter term agreements, Ms. Lee has said it's been, she hasn't had the assurance to know that she's going to be there. So staff is recommending 5 years plus a 5-year extension. We think that makes sense. We think it would benefit the district and also benefit Seabreeze. We are proposing to keep the rent the same for the first term. And in reviewing rents in the area, equivalent rents, or even more prestigious locations, the rent that the restaurants pay to the city of Berkeley in the marina, we found that the Seabreeze rent is a little bit above market at this time. And then when we consider the various impacts from the homeless encampment, the road, COVID, this rent, keeping it the same, gives some runway to Seabreeze to get back on their feet. And then at the second term, we propose increasing by CPI, basically inflation, or 3%, whichever is greater. As with all of our agreements, we include a standard cancellation notice at the district's discretion of 180 days. So should we have plans accelerate for any reason for future phases of the site, we always retain the discretion to end early if we need to. We don't usually do that, and in this case, I don't think we would need to. But I just wanted to share that we do include that as an option. So just to recap, before we get to questions, staff is recommending that the Board Operations Committee approve and recommend to the full board a license agreement with Jenny Lee for a 5-year term with a possible 5-year extension with a monthly fee of $3,206, increasing in the second term by the Consumer Price Index or 3%, whichever is greater. And here's one last picture of the deli, and I will stop my share. And Jen Lee is here for questions, and I'm also happy to answer any questions, as well as the park supervisor and Ren Bates from the capital programs.
Thank you very much, and welcome, Ms. Lee. Nice to have you here. We have some questions from board members. Director Wieskamp?
Could somebody tell me in this location if they feel like they're well policed? By the city of Berkeley, I assume, and our officers probably come by at some stage. It seems somewhat isolated in a way. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, I can share a little bit, or AGM O'Connor, do you want to take that?
Oh, I think maybe Mrs. Lee can
That sounds good.
probably the best person to give us that perspective.
Okay, I would think she would know.
Looks like her audio is connecting.
I see she's. Yes.
I see somebody, Mr. Newand, you're looks like you're you're on mute.
Hello. There you
Hello.
go.
There we go.
Welcome.
There
Sorry
you
about
are.
that.
There
Well,
she-
thank you for having us today. My husband's with me here, Fung. We've been running Seabreeze in 2004, and we have established a pretty much a strong community. We do have customers that are third generation that's been coming there, and I have been running the place for close to 2004, so I'm looking at about 18 years already, and I do see a lot of regular customers. And I do occasionally see Tom Bates as well. That does his walk. I haven't seen him since. There's a lot that has changed since. We do have the homeless encampment problem that recently just got cleaned out. I think they were there for about 4 or 5 years, and that was a struggle for us. So there's bright light that it's going to do better now with the city fixing the road as well as the homeless encampment being there. But we still do have customers still coming back till today that's still supporting us. And we do have a lot of customers from the marina that stays at the dock that comes out and support us, because there's really not much going on around that area where they do need to get, grab some food. So we do cater to a lot of the marina people that stay at the boats.
Ms. Lee, Director Wieskamp's question was asked about policing and your responsiveness, I guess, by the police department and issues you have, or do you have, how is it in terms of criminal activity or
Or
response?
feeling of security.
Right.
It's much better now that the homeless encampment is gone. Huge difference, huge. And most of the problems we had was actually just a lot of nuisance from across the street and just a
Okay,
lot of mental illness. So you could just
Sure.
imagine some of the stuff. It's a big crime. I don't see any, any criminal acts being done in front of us. So I would say I would feel really safe, and more now so that the homeless is gone.
good. Thank you.
And did you have people helping out from the police department, Berkeley, or our police department?
We actually work with 3 agencies. We work with the Highway Patrol, the East Bay Regional Park Police, as well as the City of Berkeley Police. The
Okay,
biggest response we had is actually from East Bay Regional Park Police. They're really quick in getting, to the site. So we do get a good response from them. And there are cases where we have to call other agency only because it's on the other side of the problem. The other
Okay,
side of
great.
the city.
Thank you for letting us know that. And we're happy to hear. Thank you. And Director Rosario?
Yeah, are there permanent amenities like restrooms and water available?
Yes, we just recently opened up our employee restroom to the customers now, and it's ADA compliant, so everything is up to code right now. And we do pretty much have a hand sink outside for bikers that need to wash their hands or clean up. So we always had that available for even, bikers and all that too. So we're
Oh, that's
equipped with that.
Yeah, I remember there was a time there was just some portable toilets up there, but
Yeah, so we expanded on the bathroom, opened it up. And so
Oh, great.
now we took away the porta potty and then put in a bigger bathroom inside.
oh, great.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Indeed, we've had those too, remember?
Yeah. So Tiffany, how far off above our market is our current rate?
Great question. I have my comparables. For example, if we look at Skates or Hana Japan, those are both leases to the marina, to the city. Skates is paying about just under $2,500 a month to the city, compared to just over 3,000. It does look maybe like that's an agreement that's going to be coming up for renewal with the city. So I don't know what their practice is. They may, do an adjustment at the end. Hana Japan is also within the marina. That was around 3,000, just under 3,000. Although at the renewal, they have a different agreement now, which did bump it up quite a bit. So I think we, in analyzing it, I think we're in a good place my recommendation was to keep it the same and let it kind of catch up with itself.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna, those are both higher end restaurants and with larger amenities. And I was gonna suggest maybe lowering the rent to like 3,000, and then going with the CPI and 3% in future years. So just because the clientele, it's a different clientele, and this is kind of like technically an undeveloped site. And just the food and groceries that they sell they don't have the volume or like some other places of businesses do. So I think some kind of a break would be could be encouraged, I think. So that's just a recommendation on my part, but I like to say it lowered to at least 3,000, which is the top end of the current.
If I could say, in the past, what East Bay Regional Park did for us was during the winter time when we have no business during the rainy season, it actually went down to about $1,800. And it picks up again in March when spring and summer comes, it goes back up again. So they gave us like a 3 or 4 month break during the winter time. I thought that was great. And then that disappeared over the years.
I'm sure there was some stimulus money too from the federal and state too that we were able to take advantage of. I hope. So that's just my recommendation. A little bit of break. I hate to see our market rates above what's above the neighborhood. So that's my suggestion.
And will we be hearing what's recommended by the city of the Berkeley at some of the other facilities anytime soon?
I can answer. I mean, I think I don't know exactly what their process or timing is in terms of the renewal.
That might be nice to find out. And I did want to ask too, is there, are you busy this time of year with COVID having outdoor tables and things like that? Does that help the number of people that come to business or not? Or can you help us understand what's going on that way?
Yes, well, the biggest problem we have now is the construction. So it's really hard to get in and out of university. So we have not seen the customers coming back at a good rate at all. When the weather's nice, normally people will be out and about. But I think due to the construction right now, it's not bringing people out to the marina at all. And it's a huge construction.
Okay, thank you.
So at the
Director
moment,
Wieskamp, I think you had your hand up too.
How much longer is this construction supposed to go on? Do we know?
That's a great question. We've been trying to ask. The construction's been going on for at least 6 to 8 months now. And I guess in the last month or so, 3 weeks or a month or so, it doesn't seem to, we don't seem to see any workers
Anything
actively
happening?
working. Yeah.
Okay. Just another alternate suggestion, Dee, we don't put this new rate in place until construction is over.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah.
Because then they have something to pay with. But that seems like that would be sort of a reasonable thing to do. We just have to keep an eye on it. To me, that's a good compromise.
Yeah, I would accept that as a friendly amendment.
Okay.
And then Ms. Margalisi and Mr. O'Connor, can we contact the city of Berkeley and get some more specific information about when they're going to get done or, complete?
That's
Yeah.
a prediction.
I'm sure we could do that, but I would guess that may push this item out. So I guess the question is are you asking us to table the item until we have that additional information? So that's the question I guess on the table, because I doubt we would get that information in a timely manner, especially for this, especially not for today, obviously.
I think it would be a good idea what they're looking at with regard to, other businesses in that community when they're looking at raising and what numbers they're looking at. I think it would be good for us to know the answer to that. So I don't know, would it be hurtful to put this over?
I believe, are they on month to month, Tiffany?
No, I believe that we have a little bit more time on the agreement. So no, we could certainly table it. I think whenever we're ready, I think that Ren Bates did have information on the road project if we wanted that information. And then I had one more comment about the COVID relief that we did do with Seabreeze, just like with our other lessees.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from Ren as to our own construction.
Yeah, Ren Bates, Capital Program Manager. Happy to be here to support. Construction has been going out around that site for quite some time. We're culpable. The city of Berkeley is culpable. We'll be done before the city of Berkeley. I would like to suggest we had a final walk last Monday for the development of the Brickyard Cove site in McLaughlin East Shore State Park. So we're having the contractor do some final punch list items, and we hope to wrap that up in the next couple of weeks. So we're hoping to have that open first part of March. First week of March is hopefully when we'll be done with our project. We have been coordinating with the city of Berkeley, some with their road project, just in terms of an ingress and egress into our site and to the site going on forward. So the city is basically moving those roadways because if anyone's driven down that road, there's piers that that is part of the subgrade. Anyway, they're moving so that the road now doesn't conflict with that. I don't know about timeline on schedule. I know from our project, we were delayed, so I would hate to speculate on any project I have no daily, weekly comments on, but they are working on that currently. So it has been going on for a few months now. And I would say, I mean, I don't know, but I would posit they would be done by summer. I would suggest for the road work. They have a couple of lanes. They're trying to juggle between the two. That's all I can offer on the city of Berkeley. I can offer more specifics on our project if there are questions, but I'm done speculating on the city of Berkeley's roadway project.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Ren? We also have Scott Posson has had his hand up for a little bit too.
Oh,
Any other
Scott,
questions for Ren?
You're on mute, Scott.
here you go.
Scott Posing, Park Supervisor. My understanding was the Berkeley University Avenue project was going to take about 1 year in duration. So I would anticipate by late fall of 2022, that would be wrapped up.
Wow.
A little ways. All right, so we have several hands up. Dee, would you like to ask another question or shall we have Tiffany?
Let's hear from Tiffany first.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So I was just going to add to provide some further background that in 2020, we did extend COVID financial relief to our concessionaires and lessees. So there was a period of time when Seabreeze was completely shut down because of the shelter in place. And during that time, there was no rent charged. So we completely forgave the rent during the shutdown. I know the road project is an impact. They are open, so that is an advantage. And then just to clarify in terms of the rent review that we did, these agreements that we looked at with the city of Berkeley were very long-term, like I think 20-year agreements. So for example, the Hana Japan one, which is the steakhouse nearby, when Berkeley did the renewal, it jumped from just under $3,000 to over $5,000 a month. It's a little bit of a not apples to apples because as Director Rosario said, it's more, there's more amenities. There was also a required capital investment from the lessee Hana Japan. So I don't think that the 5,000 is necessarily apples to apples either, because but it just I think it's a good data point to share that when the agreement turned over, which was in the last 2 years, it went from just under 3,000 to over 5,000. So I don't know, the timing of skates, but I would assume that there would be a similar type of increase. So just putting that out there for consideration.
So are we thinking maybe putting this over to another meeting after we get a little more information? Makes sense, guys. Director Rosario.
I don't see why we can't, instead of tabling it and then having the small business have some extend their uncertainty. I would like to just go ahead and recommend a $3,000 reduction to $3,000, and then have an opener like when construction of the University Avenue ends, that would reopen the contract and put it back to the 3250, the original 3250. Is that doable?
Director Wieskamp, does that sound good to you?
I think that sounds like a reasonable one. I mean, frankly, if you think I believe that project will be done in November, no, one never knows what's going to happen with construction projects. But they've had a lot of suffering at this business. They seem to want to they've done some good things that are upgraded, the bathrooms and all. And they've got regular customers who evidently are having a struggle to get there sometimes. So I think that sounds like a reasonable alternative.
So Director Corbett, can I do you want me to summarize that change in the recommendation?
Yes, but I do have another quick question too. In our memo, it talks about the possibility of doing some remodeling. Would this give you an opportunity to start working on some of that while we're waiting for the rent to change? And that would
Absolutely.
give you an opportunity and what sort of things you're looking at. And I'd like to hear just a little bit more about that first.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the items that we were looking to kind of change out were just updating some of our equipment. Some of the equipment inside is just, old. We don't want to update them because, again, we're always on a year-to-year lease. So with these changes, hopefully we can update them to more reputable and more reliable equipment. We would like to do interior painting, the inside, exterior painting on the outside, right? Seating, outdoor seating, upgrading the picnic benches, planters around the outdoor seating area, possibly flowers, and repairing some of the leaks on the roof. More
That's
permanent
always
repair.
good.
Permanent fix.
Yeah, more of a permanent repair than just a temporary repair.
Start with a roof.
Yeah. So those are just some of the things offhand that we're looking for. And certainly that's a great start for now.
I think we're very impressed that you're so interested in making some of those changes and
Right.
doing the remodeling, and also so interested in continuing to operate your business there. I think we should be, we appreciate that, I would say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. O'Connor, go ahead.
So, Director Rosario, if I hear your amendment correctly, the rent starting with this first 5-year term would be $3,000 per month until the city of Berkeley completes their road reconstruction of University Avenue. At that point, we would notify Ms. Lee that rent would be increasing to $3,206 as in the current recommendation.
That's correct. Thank you.
And that would be specifically at the time they finish fixing the road. That's
correct.
The
so we'd give them notice, like for instance, if it happened mid-month, we'd say the following month your rent will be increasing to $3,206 per month for the rest of the term.
Okay.
Good.
Does this sound good? I see people kind of smiling. Yes. Okay, good. All right.
Thumbs up all around.
Someone ready to make a motion
So moved.
I'll
Okay.
second.
with the new language given by Mr. O'Connor? And
Yes.
let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
Director Rosario,
Aye.
Chair Corbett,
Aye.
so moved.
Thank you so
Great.
much. It was so nice to see you, and we look forward to continue to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you. so
Congratulations on
much.
having
Nice to
steady
meet you all.
customers.
Yeah, feel free and giving us information on how's it going down there.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very
I
much.
know.
All right, take care.
Bye. Thank you.
All right.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So now we're on the second item on the agenda. Or excuse me, it's actually considered the third item on the agenda. And let's hear about the Bridgyard concession, the OVM update at Judge John Sutter Regional Shoreline.
So I'm just going to do a quick intro to this one. The road to getting Sutter Shoreline open was a long one. And part of that long road was finding a concessionaire that would take on what was going to be a challenging new park for us, a very urban park, but very important to. Hey, Andrew, can you mute yourself, Andrew? There we go. It was going to be a challenge for us, a new park, new type of park for us. We had to find the right type of concessionaire. We did an RFP process, went through that, and OVM, of course, was selected through that process, and they've been a great concessionaire thus far. One of the challenges here is that, Andrew, could you mute yourself, please? There we go. One of the challenges is we were trying to find a partner that would help us activate this new this new space for us that's really critical to the city of Oakland, our residents in the city of Oakland. And right then, when we were just getting some steam behind us, the pandemic hit. And so we've been sort of in a waiting mode to really get this space activated. Now, that's not to say that people have not discovered this park, and especially the pier. I think it's quite popular. I don't know if we have Dave Mecke. I don't see Dave Mecke here with us today, but it's become quite popular. People are finding the pier and finding the park. So, but we still have some work to do to activate this space and make it a real center for the community, the local community. But we're getting there. And I think that's part of Tiffany's presentation today, talk about what's happening with OVM and what our plans are for the future. So with that, I'll pass it off to Tiffany.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to start off this presentation, and then I am going to hand it off to my co-presenter, General Manager from Oakland Venue Management, Andrew Jones. So one moment while I get my slides up. And does that look correct?
You're on the notes page.
Wait, one of these days I will get it. There we go. Okay. So my team for this presentation is Park Ranger Nick Hall is here, subbing for Park Supervisor Dave Mecke, Unit Manager Jeff Manley, and then from Oakland Venue Management, I have both Andrew Jones, their General Manager, as well as their Sales and Events Manager, Sterling James. So I have just a brief intro because like AGM O'Connor said, there was so much energy towards this opening, and then Jones, their General Manager, as well as their Sales and Events Manager, Sterling James. I think, Andrew, you need to be on mute again. Brief intro because like AGM O'Connor said, this.
There we go.
Thank you. So just, I wanted to review the dates so that it was fresh. I needed to remind myself when this all happened because everything prior to COVID is a blur. So 2017 is when we signed, the district signed a lease with Caltrans for the Bridgyard building. And then the following year, we signed a funding agreement with NTC Data on the ongoing funding for the building. And then in 2019 is when we signed the concession agreement with Oakland Venue Management. So there is a lot of partners here for Bridgyard. The BATA funding is $150,000 a year for the first 5 years. So we've now received our first 5-year installment, all 5 years of that. And another stipulation of our lease is that all funds generated at the site need to be spent at the Bridgyard building. So unlike other concessions where we split between revenue and maintenance fund, 100% of anything generated here is going to this location, back to the location. So what have we been doing so far with the BATA funds? I wanted to share just a little bit about some of the projects we completed. One, and I won't go into any, these are kind of technical projects, but just to let you know what we've been doing. We completed exiting plans, and which are really floor plan layouts to get approved by the state fire marshal. So this is a state-owned building. So we have to go, our Oakland Venue Management needs to get approval for activities from the state fire marshal. So we quickly found out that having to apply each time for individual layouts to the state fire marshal was quite onerous. And so we did a contract to develop, establish pre-approved floor plans and exiting plans from the state fire marshal. So that's what this example is showing here. It's an example, combo dinner theater style, and we have like 10 of these now. So when OVM is seeing clients, they can say, these are your floor plan choices. We've also purchased, OVM has purchased with the BATA funding, tables, chairs, a stage, stanchions, various event amenities that can now be included with the rental fee. So that's great. We're getting the building outfitted. Another project that we did, which was very technical, was a structural review to determine where OVM or other renters can hang things from the pillars and how much they weigh and how do we attach them without disturbing the asbestos underneath or other, I don't know if it's asbestos or other materials underneath that are sealed. So these are some examples of the engineering study that was done and the clamps that would be used. Don't ask me any questions because you have to be a structural engineer to know about it. But it just, we wanted to understand how to safely use the building and use it to our best advantage and let OVM use it as well. So those are some things we've done in terms of projects. What is in progress? So anyone who has been to an event at the Bridge Yard knows that the audio can be a little challenging. There's an echo. So we are working on having an in-house sound system that will be included with the rental fee that will be adapted to the space. So it's that's underway, and it's, you know, we're making the decisions on how to get that done. Another project that's in progress is we are working on with public affairs and our exhibit design, as well as BATA, to relocate and update our exhibits. So these pictures I put here show this beautiful exhibit of the Bay Bridge construction. And we have these Caltrans engineers with their hard hats, and I think it's been a great exhibit. We have been talking to BATA and Caltrans, and we all agree that we're ready to move on to another phase of this. Our clients, this shows kind of how it looks like. This was a wedding, I believe a wedding rental. It is a little bit incompatible. You can see the you know, photos of the engineers maybe at your wedding isn't necessarily the look. So we are going to preserve the story of the building and how it relates to the bridge. And this shows this diagram down here, the numbers in black, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. That's where the exhibits are now. We're going to move them to the green side, which is the lobby.
Mhm.
So when you are on your way in the hallway down to the restroom or in the lobby, we'll have some exhibits on the, we call it the low bay side. Some of the pictures will be reused, and then some of them will be refreshed, and then using updated, you know, story about the Judge John Sutter shoreline. So that's quite a project, and we're looking forward to that, both from being able to make sure the building tells the story of the park and the building, its own story, and also from a marketing standpoint to make sure that, you know, it's a building that's compatible for event. I have one more slide, and I think Andrew Jones is waiting to be admitted back. Okay, he's back in, and his computer sound seems to be working better. So the last thing I'll say on my side before I hand it to Andrew is that another major milestone in getting the park operational and the building operational is this completion of this area we call the West Overflow. And it's an area between the public parking lot. I don't know if you can see my cursor when I move it over, but there's the public parking lot, and then there's the Bridge Yard building parking lot. And between, there's this flexible use space with no striping. It's a paved area. That's what we call the West Overflow. And this other photo shows when you're driving, you know, towards the bay along Burma, this shows a view of the West Overflow. This is a great location both for events that you can have activation events and have outdoor events. And it's also very important as part of the parking and staging plan for the building. Because if you remember, the actual parking at the building is really limited. So in talking with park operations and with Oakland Venue Management, we see these two spaces are pretty essentially tied together for their operations. We can't have a big event at the Bridge Yard and also have a big activation event in West Overflow. We need to coordinate the calendar. We also really want to activate this space more in terms of getting the community there, getting it to be more known. And so we are in discussions with Oakland Venue Management for a 2 or maybe 3-year pilot program where we're considering expanding the concession area to include the West Overflow so that they would have that for their parking when it's parking. And then also Oakland Venue Management has proposed to put on a series of public free activation events. So we don't have all the details on it worked out yet, but I wanted to preview that and just let you know that we're in discussions on that area. So that is, yes.
So just ask sorry for interrupting, but just a real quick question about something you were talking about already, the photos of the engineers, et cetera, who were, responsible for the building and what happened there. As we move some of those, will we be saving them somewhere? Will we be keeping them, with our other historic documents, and or will we donate some to the Oakland Museum? I think that's important history that should be stored somewhere. So, every so many years when we celebrate what has happened in that building, it would be good to have that information as opposed to lose it. So is there any kind of plan to use some of that in the building, but then also protect some as historic documents?
Yes. So the plan is still in discussions. The exhibits themselves that are there now are owned by BATA. So MTC BATA. So they have been considering if they would like to store them and how. And we're waiting for their answer since it is their exhibit. We have already agreed that we will photo document everything before it's moved. But in terms of what we're going to do with them, and BATA, our counterpart at BATA actually has some really creative ideas if she wants to contact the engineers or mail it back to the actual people who the photos are of, or if they want to do anyway, they have a lot of ideas that they're reviewing, and they'll let us know. But we really agree that regardless of the eventual where they go, we'll make really good documentation of what's there. Okay.
Thank you very much. Mr. O'Connor?
Just another thing, Director Corbett and members of the committee, is that we've been in very close contact with the folks from BATA over artifacts, because they do have some of the original Bay Bridge artifacts, like the big clock that went over the toll plaza, some benches that even go back to the key system that was there. So we've got a lot of that, including train parts, et cetera. So part of the future vision for this park, remember, this is just a phase 1 of this park. There's actually a future development phase that has to occur for the actual park build out that's going to occur in the future. And our hope, and BATA's hope, is that we would be able to incorporate some of these artifacts into the future park build out. So we've been holding these artifacts. BATA saved them after the demolition of the original bridge. So we've got a lot of this in holding pattern, and we're preserving it for this future park build out. And we hope to make that part of that future park build out, the actual infrastructure of the future park.
Oh, good. Very glad to hear that. Thank you very much. All right. So my apologies to the next presenter. Welcome.
Andrew, you're on.
Oh, I'm here. My video is turned off, so I was just waiting, but thank you. I'm happy to jump in if everyone can hear me. Sorry, I was having
Yes,
some
we can
technical difficulties, but let's see here. There's my video. Hi, everyone.
There you
Right.
are.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
Welcome.
it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you hosting this meeting and allowing us to join you. Directors, we appreciate all your support and this opportunity. Just a little bit of house cleaning. I thought it would be important just to call out a few people. I think as directors and stewards of the park district, you should hear that your staff has been so incredibly supportive of our efforts at the Bridge Yard. Tiffany, Renee, I can't speak more highly of. They're our favorite clients. Jim, you're all right. But really, Dave Mackey, the team, Nick, out at the Bridge Yard daily have been just so incredible. I felt I'd be remiss if I didn't call them out on this call. It's been a wild ride with them. So, I will go ahead and share my screen if I'm getting the nod from the IT folks, and I'll walk you through this quick presentation. And let's see here. Let's go to that. Let's see. Go here. I'm going to press play. Let's see. Okay. Can you all see this screen?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're waiting with anticipation.
All right. Here we go. You guys can see.
Oh.
Oop, I went ahead of. Okay. So y'all can see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Excellent. Well, again, thank you. I'm here with Sterling James, our new event and sales manager at the Bridge.
Hello.
She's on. Hey, Sterling. I'll get going here. I think the message I'd like to share today is that the future is quite bright for events and the event industry, and we're as bullish as ever on the building and our efforts out there. Please ask questions as we go here, because I'd much rather do that. But I thought it would be important to kind of restate our values as an organizations and the ones that we carry forward as we represent you in the building and the world. We're very serious about this, and through the past few, since 2019, since we started doing work out there, we've really built this into everything we do at the building and how we engage with community there. You all know about the building, but we thought we would add just a little bit. Anybody online who's seeing this? But I'll keep moving here. And of course, this will be made available. So just in review, we got the keys in August of 2019, and we went immediately to work in 2019 and really through the first part of February 2020, though there weren't many events in 2020, even up before shelter in place. We had a number of really successful client interactions and a number of events. And I'll remind the committee that part of how we were, I think how it was on paper, how we're being judged for our successes is really about people coming to the park, right? And so in our first few months of operation, we brought out over 11,000 patrons to events who got to experience the Judge John Sutter Park. So I think, that met this kind of threshold we were throwing around of 10,000 annually for events out there. So we were quite proud of that. We got things up and running right away. We started working on our brand, our logo, and began to kind of weave the story of the venue into the community. So moving on, of course, we we had a pandemic or in a pandemic, and it has shut down the business of the event center from basically March 14th of 2020 through June 15th of 21. But that doesn't mean that we stopped doing business on your behalf. We stayed busy. We got a number of things, a lot of the housekeeping stuff that we needed to do as part of our contract with you, but also just as part of being a good steward of the building, we continued to press forward. Created our waste reduction plan, which I'll speak to later. I understand that this is a focus of yours with other concessionaires. Happy to answer questions. We worked with park staff, again, to kind of work through some of the legal things. You guys offered an extension of some of the concessionaire agreements. We worked on, kind of updating the CMF policies, and you guys were able to kind of work with us and not charge us CMF fees for a period of time. And then we worked on purchases, like really strategic, thoughtful purchases that bring a great great deal of value to users of the building. And I can go into as much detail as you would like there, but basically, tables, chairs, staging equipment, other basic needs that basically every event needs to have as part of their rental of the facility. We went ahead and made those purchases, and now they're a part of your rental when you use the facility, bringing a tremendous amount of value to the clients. OVM installed a robust wireless internet service and a dedicated, redundant, dedicated gigabit hardline for conferences and other kind of, internet intensive events to make it more attractive and to bring that feature to the building. And then, as Tiffany alluded to earlier, we worked out rigging plans for the building and kind of nailed down a lot of our layouts, design, and got ready for opening back up. So, of course, the name of the game now is opening back up safely. So, we wanted to kind of make sure that you understood, and some of the images you see and some of the events we've already started to do, that we do take this thing of COVID safety very seriously. We've adopted, we did a lot of research about what other world-class venues are doing in regards to their policies, and we adopted a lot of those policies. We're, of course, being governed by Alameda County Health and their regulations, the city of Oakland, and we're adhering to those from walkthroughs all the way through event execution. Happy to touch on any of that as you'd like to dig into it, but we have a stated policy that we have available to all of our clients. They get it as their planning guide, included in their planning guide. It's a part of their contract, and we make sure that everyone's adhering to the rules as we progress through the booking process, and then, of course, through the event execution process as well. I mentioned it before, and I know it's important to this group, so I just figured we'd pull it out and just highlight it, that we're very serious about our waste reduction plan as well. This was a requirement of our concessionaire agreement. We took time and made sure that we had policies in place for these large events. And frankly, the events business is just notoriously awful when it comes to waste creation, and everything from diesel powered generators to styrofoam packaging for odds and ends. I mean, it's just a notoriously tough industry to kind of get a handle on all this. But we have made steps and taken strides to kind of combat that, and we've made policies with all of the people who work in our venue around compostable wares. We've got composting on site. We've also worked with a vendor called A to Z Event Services. They are a green certified waste hauler for events. They've got their certification through San Francisco, but they work with Recology, and it's a pretty robust process for them to get that. So when we have these larger events, how we pull waste out, how we manage waste throughout the event, what we serve in, everything that we bring into the venue comes from the lens of how do we reduce our impact. So there is a document that has been created, that has been adopted as part of our waste reduction plan. That's available to you should you be more interested, or if you have any specific questions, let us know. But I'm just going to keep moving here to respect your time. Let me know if you have questions. I just spoke to most of this. This is just to remind you of the things that we're focused on. We've actually made investments in the facility too, to kind of create 3-stream waste collection opportunities for all of our events internally, and then how we dispose of the trash thereafter, and what we hold our clients to, and the caterers and the events that they host. All right. So then, you fast forward and you think, wow, June 15th comes along and suddenly we're out of the pandemic, right? We get to start partying again and having a great time. And then, Delta variant, and then Omicron. And so we've kind of had this fits and starts kind of roll here in 2021. So not as many events, frankly, in 2021 as we would, of course, wanted. We had a ton of inquiries. I called my mom on like June 16th. And I was like, Mom, this is the year, we're going to do it. And then, everything just kind of took a beating. And but the best thing we did in 2021 was hire Sterling James. She is an amazing colleague and partner in operating the facility. The last, I guess, 7 months that she's been on staff, we have been training her up, getting her ready for the deluge of inquiries that is now beginning in 2022. And we can kind of talk about what that looks like in just a moment. But in 2021, we executed some really amazing events. We were able to really hone in on some marketing. We really dialed in our pricing with Tiffany and the team. You guys got a report from Noah Dort on your side about some of the new pricing models, things that we had learned from operating the venue on your behalf that we just thought were appropriate to make some changes. So all that being said, we kind of dug back in there, got the marketing dialed, executed a few events and got things back up and running. And, and I'll talk about it in a moment, but like I said, the future is bright. Any questions for me as I try to blaze through this and get you what you need? Okay, moving on. Awesome. Excellent. We talk a lot about marketing. It is about storytelling, the story of Judge John Sutter himself, the story of the park, the story of the park district and the foundation. These are all really important to us. As I mentioned, when we first got this gig, I'm born and raised in your parks and spend as many hours I can with my kids there. It's really important to me how we present this building. So if you don't mind, I got the approval, but assuming we're still good on time, I'd love to play a video that we created, a marketing piece for the venue that I think is really powerful. If that's okay, Tiffany, we're still good.
We're running about an hour behind, but.
Okay, well, it's on our website, thebridgeyard.com. It's 1 minute and 15 seconds. When you have a moment, please take a look at the website. And that's really what this is encouraging you to do. It's something we spent a lot of time on, and we're very proud of the branding that we created with the Park District staff.
Board members, would you like to see it now, or would you like to see it?
How long is it?
It's 1 minute and 16 seconds.
Oh,
Let's watch it.
Okay, let's.
Sure.
All right, fair. Here we go.
Anything he's that excited about, I'd like to have a look at.
All right, here we go. Let me see if I can get this thing rolling. You all can see it. All right.
Nice.
Very festive.
Yeah, so these are the types of little vignettes that we're going to be producing. That one is, of course, more kind of like geared towards the wedding business, but we have one we're going to work on for the more corporate gala events. We've got an event coming up that I think would be really appropriate for doing that same type of thing, really showcase the venue. And, as they say, picture's worth 1,000 words. So I don't know what that video is worth, but it's definitely it definitely makes the building look beautiful. So, also you guys are really concerned about, of course, what our clients are saying. You had us do a review, basically do a post-event kind of customer satisfaction report. We didn't have time to kind of aggregate all of that information. And I do think what we have needs to be updated a little bit, but we got this quote from one of our bigger clients. I think so far, so good. I think that we have obviously learned a great deal in our first few years here about the way that the room is presented, both financially to folks. And this is one of the reasons we came back late last year and did some rate changes because it just wasn't transparent enough. You know, we kind of got people in on one rate, but the room is just really prohibitively expensive to do events in. I mean, just speaking candidly, it is very expensive to do work out at the Bridge Yard because of its location, its lack of parking, you know, no power. So we really just had to take a moment to kind of understand how we wanted to present the true costs of the room. So we're starting down that road now, and it's definitely helping the conversation. Doesn't necessarily mean we're making more sales, but at least people are walking away feeling like it was understood from the beginning rather than like a bait and switch where, you know, all of a sudden all of these extra costs are laid on them that, you know, we don't make any money on, you don't make any money on. It's just what it is to do business out there. So I'll keep moving here. Again, lots to be excited about with 2022. So some upcoming events on the calendar. This is certainly almost a doubling of the events that we had in 21. And the ridiculous amounts of inquiries coming in daily. I mean, it's like, I mean, even as we were sitting here, people are now like, hey, I want to do my prom, or hey, I want to do this or that. You know, there's lots of things coming in. We've got our name in a couple of channels, a couple of paid advertisements with some industry specific lead generation. And, you know, the word is kind of out. You know, the best way to market an event space is through events. We've had a bunch of events now. People are knowing it's there. And now the inquiries are coming in, and Sterling is just masterful at walking people through the process now, and she really embodies our ethos and our values. So I think, you know, it's really working. So we've got events in the pipeline. We're meeting with all sorts of folks daily, and we're really excited. Like Alameda Health Systems Foundation Gala, that's just going to be a huge fundraising event for an amazing nonprofit, et cetera. So lots of good stuff coming down the pipe. And so let's see. And then, yeah, so if you ever need to contact me, there's my direct cell phone. You ever have any questions? And yeah, we're here to answer any of your questions now.
All right, directors, do you have any questions? Okay, Director Wieskamp and then Director Rosario.
It just strikes me as such an unusual site. Is this some place where the television and movie industry might be interested? It just strikes me, its location, while it's a problem, is also an excellent one. There's so many things so nearby.
Yeah. We have done, I don't know, 10 walkthroughs with scouts for various film and photography sessions. We haven't landed one, I don't think. I might be wrong by an event. You know, the thing is that at the end of the day, parking lots can be less expensive, right? So like we do a lot of walkthroughs and they're like, you know what, you guys, they have to rent the venue. And they're like, well, we'll just go rent the Pac Bell, or not Pac Bell, or whatever park that is right at the base of the Bay Bridge. You know, those big parking lots are like $1,000 a day and you can do whatever you want. And it's like, well, okay. So if you need a historic building, it works. But if you're just looking for a space to do a photo shoot or a film, you know, yeah.
Well, I think you've got an exciting list of things coming event. I can't even imagine the big fake wedding, but it sounds like quite an event. So congratulations, you've been working hard.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Andrew, could we just drop the screen share?
Oh, absolutely.
So we can see you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Here we go. I think.
There we go. All right. Thank you.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Who is next?
Director Rosario?
Yeah, that's really, I know, I'm really happy to see that you have not been idle in the COVID period. It sounds like you're really poised to kick off a normal year, which is great. I was wondering, you know, in past discussions about use for the area, I know there was talk of that storage area where some of the artifacts are stored. Is that going to be maybe a museum or a service yard, or you know, what's the plan to, what do you guys foresee for that space?
Yeah, Tiffany, Steve, you jumped in.
Maybe want to see if Jim wants to answer that one, or me.
So you're talking about the what we call a West Overflow, which was the maintenance yard for Caltrans. Is that what you're talking about, Director Rosario?
No, the section of the building that's not used right now, there's some artifacts there.
What we call the West End.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've gone through a design process to determine what needs to be done to the building to allow for us to get a permit for full operation of the building, which means both ends or both ends together. So we've got some development we've got to do, including an egress. We've got to do what they call I think 1,000-hour hallway or whatever they call it, where there's an egress out of the building midway. So we've got some development to do on the building. And that's something we've worked with OVM and with BATA on, and we've got some design, but we've got to get some of that work done before we can use both ends of the building. So that West End, our hope is to have that to be a smaller venue space that may be used by smaller groups that don't need the very large space on the east end of the building. So that's the intention going forward. And Andrew, if you want to, or Tiffany, talk more about it, but that's our vision, is to get both sides of the building operational.
That's right.
Great. And then I also know that there was some interest, I think it was REI was interested in having a concession for bike rentals. Just something to think about. And then also there was also talk of a possibility of having some kind of because of the proximity to the Bay Trail, having some kind of a cafe or coffee shop.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Yeah, we're extremely excited by all those concession opportunities. Of course, the devil's in the details out at that site, So we have been exploring that with staff. I think once we get a little bit of wind in our sails with the events business again, and we kind of just push this thing along a little bit. I think that there's, like Tiffany mentioned today, the West Overflow lot is of critical importance to us as your concessionaire, right? We can't really do any event out there without parking, and we need to kind of have that understood, and then we can kind of start doing these really interesting activations, of which we're working on a couple that I think the committee would be excited about. So I think overall your point is clear. Like, how do we build a regular schedule of events? How do we make it so it's healthy and people are coming out there for activations that kind of like are centric around, culture and sport and activities, and and that's at least our opinion on it, and we're gonna keep working on that.
Yeah, and anything to help activate and take advantage of the Bay Trail, right?
That's right.
And the Bridge Trail, the Zuckerman Trail, and then
also. Director Rosario, just another comment is I just heard today that actually the Bridge Trail connection down to Treasure Island is almost complete.
Wow.
So that means that people will be able to now finish that final little piece down to get to Treasure Island. And then there's supposed to be a ferry connection from Treasure Island over to San Francisco. So that might increase actual usage and throughput of customers, Andrew, Sterling, through that park. So anyway, that's what I heard today. I don't know if it's, I haven't been able to confirm it, that's what I heard today.
Yeah. And then also into consideration for future build out, I just talked with the AGM, Christina Kelchner, and I think we're probably getting very close to an agreement with the Army and the state over the use of the cleanup there and opening up the rest of the parkland.
Applause.
And then also on the venue is the old Oakland Army base across the waterway. There is I think the city of Oakland has a tentative agreement with the developer to open up the terminal there without coal. So that's going to be huge too.
Well,
so that's it. Thank you. You guys sound like you're well prepared for whatever comes, and I hope we can open up.
Fingers crossed Sterling doesn't get bored. We have to keep her busy.
Best wishes.
Oh, there's plenty to do.
Yeah.
And I have a question too. So looks like you're doing some fabulous events. Would you say this is successful towards your goals? How's it going for you?
It's been a little rough. We not having any income from that facility, but you guys have, through the pandemic, and then, the real ramp down after June 15th of 21. That's been the rough part. It's like a lot of interest, but then a lot of people like either canceling or postponing events. So, we're optimists by nature. We got a great team. We took it in stride. We were able to get some funding from the federal government to kind of stave off any significant losses. So, honestly, we're spoiled, right? I mean, given everything that's gone on in the world, we still love what we do. We have you as a client, great client, we've got a great facility, and now a ton of inquiry coming in. So like I said, we're optimists. We love what we do, and we love this facility. And so we're just going to continue to plow forward and book some of these events and kind of keep it moving.
Well, that's very nice to hear. And certainly couldn't have a better view, for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
No.
Nice office when you're up there walking through, folks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have there been any requests to use the bridge as a wedding venue? I mean, the pier, the observation deck?
That's interesting. Not through our desk, Sterling.
Yeah.
Have you received anything
On the pier or on our?
Yeah, on the pier.
our
On the
chair?
pier.
On the pier. It's an interesting idea. Probably would appeal to some people.
Yeah, I mean, when I first walked out there, when we first completed, I thought that'd be an ideal place for a wedding.
Who holds the permits on those?
We're gonna start working on that.
Just add it to your list.
We just
Yes.
added to Tiffany's list. She's now going to do the reservations for a pier.
During times of day when traffic is not as high, though.
Yeah.
They'd have to ride the bike, yeah.
Yeah, get
Yeah.
a couple of seagulls in the picture.
There you go.
Just a point to that is that, just like any other park in our system, we would just do a special event permit process if somebody wanted to do that. So that's an option if anybody's listening out there.
And I swear, I've seen photos of people out there looking like they're getting married. So it may have happened a few times.
The smaller
But-
thing.
Director Corbett, without our permission, that wedding has to be annulled. So we just have to let them know.
Oh, I'm not going to take
I don't know
on
about
that
that.
one.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you all so much again for
Good
your
luck
trust.
to you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you
You
all.
obviously like challenges. Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Bye, Andrew. Bye, Sterling.
No
Bye,
more.
Thank
guys.
you for showing off our facilities.
All right.
Right.
Thank
Take
you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye, thank you. All right. The next item on the agenda is our Roads and Trails Pond number 36 project at the Pleasanton Ridge Regional Park. We'll look forward to that presentation as well.
Okay, just a quick introduction. I'll hand it off to Robert. Part of our goal with the Board Operations Committee is to keep the committee members and the board informed about things that are happening out in the field, because a lot of the work that staff does is invisible to us every day. And I encourage our staff to come in and do presentations so that you can see what's going on out there and keep informed about the work that's happening that oftentimes is kind of behind the scenes. And today we've got a good one here. This is a collaboration between our maintenance and skilled trade staff and our stewardship staff. So with that, I'll hand over to Robert, our new chief of maintenance.
Welcome,
you all hear
Robert
me?
Kennedy. So nice to see you.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So welcome board members and committee chair Corbett. I'm Chief of Mass, Robert Kennedy, and I'm here to highlight the important trails, creeks, and ponds work that was completed by our Roads and Trails crew and stewardship at the Pleasanton Ridge Regional Park. So nestled 400 feet below the Sunol Ridge Trail adjacent to a service road, you'll find Pond 36, which is also located in a land-banked area, object 2133. So it's pretty deep into our park. I was looking for, markers that maybe somebody would know of, but I wasn't able to find any. But we'll get further into the presentation, and my co-presenter, David Reich, should be able to have some more information for you. So working along with stewardship and wildlife biologist Doc Quack, our roads and trails team was able to conduct sediment removal from pond 36 and delicately remove 50 cubic yards while doing this project, all while protecting and retaining vital amphibian egg-laying habitat and development for the red-legged frog. And with that, I'll allow Doc Quack to come on and take on the next portion where we get into the habitat.
All right, thank you, Robert. It's a real honor and privilege to speak to the board today about a project I'm really happy about. I got my hoppy hat on, so I'll take it off and be serious now. So a couple of things I wanted to say here. California red-legged frog is our largest frog in California. And if you can see the lower left-hand portion of your screen, you've got a beautiful red-legged frog, and it's on the second bullet point. It's got this prominent little line that runs from its eye all the way down to its nose. So that's a classic identification marker. And then the other thing, they're named for the red legs, as you can see in the lower part of your screen here. A beautiful red leg frog, and that color can run all the way from the tips of their toes all the way up to their tummy, and then sometimes wrap around their back. Okay, could I have the next slide, please? All right, so our friend, the California red-legged frog, inhabits permanent ponds as well as seasonal water sources. So it could be a very shallow marsh wetland feature to a human-made pond or livestock pond to even seasonal spring drainages, and they're from the valley floor all the way up to the foothills. So they need water. Their life amphibian is life on land, life on water. That's a test question that all young biology students get to have at Las Positas College. So they need water to breed. They lay a large egg mass about the size of a grape cluster in a watery environment. 3 to 4 months later, a young frog hops out. So they do use the uplands as very important as well for finding insects and as well as burrows and ground squirrel holes to live. So you can see here in the picture, classic California red-legged frog habitat. Next slide, please, Robert. So this is, as I said, this is our largest native frog in California. It's as you can see from the graph here, the orange on your left where it shows our beautiful state. That is the range of the California red-legged frog. There's actually 2 red-legged frogs. You have the northern one, which is up on the north coast, up in Humboldt County and Mendocino north, but we're talking about our frog, and it's disappeared. Over 70%, as you can see, of its habitat has been lost. And there's a whole assortment of stressor factors that include, the classic examples, habitat loss of ponds, loss of riparian corridors for them to move up and down, loss of stream habitat. Fragmentation has broken up pieces of habitat for them. And of course, invasive species, invasive fish eat a lot of young red-legged frogs, as well as the American bullfrog. The thing with the bullfrog, it can eat anything it can get its mouth around. All right, next slide, please, Robert. So one of the things about the California red-legged frog and restoration of ponds is it takes us a lot of time, and it takes a lot of great skill on our roads and trails team. The type of equipment that they're using, the techniques, you can't farm that out. You have to really find quality people, quality staff that know how to do the work, because it's delicate. It's just not stick a shovel in the mud and you create a pond. It's delicate scraping. And as I said, there's 8 permits to do this work. Just about every agency has a permit, plus a couple I have to carry. So what is this all about? It's all about supporting the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service California red-legged frog recovery plan of 2002, which requires or calls for suitable habitat. And certainly the Park District, with almost 500 ponds, has great habitat for the California red-legged frog, the western pond turtle, as well as our friend, the California tiger salamander. The idea is to link up existing populations range-wide and to make sure that they are stable over a 15-year period. So that means these frogs are long-lived. They last a career in the Park District, if you will, maybe 20 years or more. some of them. So, sexual maturity at 3 years. So it takes a while to make it. You want connectivity so that the frogs can move from place to place. They have a roadway, they have a network to move from pond to pond to recolonize. And that's the beauty of the work that we're doing with roads and trails, is we're connecting ponds that were no longer suitable breeding habitat or needed to be fixed, needed to be tweaked, needed to be a 1.5 meters, 3.5, 5 feet deep, that would hold water to the end of July, to give these frogs a chance to grow and reproduce. And this is all based on science. Everything we do in stewardship is science-based. And there's a paper, if you want some delightful reading to put you to sleep some night, I'd be happy to send you the paper, 2019 Red-Legged Frog Response to Pond Restoration. Okay, Robert, I think I covered some of the science. I don't remember. Okay.
Yeah. Well, this is what the pond looked like before, the roads and trails crew and stewardship got together. And you can see in the middle, that's what's left of the pond in, the late spring, early summer, when it really dries up. And so the project really helped to balance the depth of the pond and not disturbing, the existing plant material that's in there, like David had mentioned. These are the pictures of our crew in action. In the top left corner, you'll see our operator using an extended excavator to be able to delicately scrape and set the roadway without affecting and compacting the basin of that pond itself. Further down, just beneath that, is an excavator deepening the pond so that we get more water that can accumulate during the wet season and hopefully will last later into the spring and into the early summer. The top middle picture is actually the spillway, where we were able to connect 100 feet of corrugated pipe from the inlet of the pond. And then if you look just to the right of that, you'll see an excavator placing rock where the spillway occurs, where water leaves the pond in the event that we have a deluge of water. And then again, in the bottom right, you can see the completion of the service road, which also acts as the embankment for that pond, and how our equipment has to strategically place and grade that work so that we do have the effect of a pond. Moving on to the next slide, after the rain that we had earlier in the season, you can see that the pond is holding up very well. We've still got some standing water out there, and there's plenty of wildlife venturing in there to get a sip of that water. But this is the skill that our team brings to the table. It's not easy work. We have to take our time because this is a delicate process, and helping riparian habitat and helping amphibians get to maturity, and it's working well. And so our team skill set, along with our stewardship partners, are able to conduct these projects and further impact our ecological footprint, and then hopefully allowing the red-legged frog to thrive here on Park District land. And so with that, if you have any additional questions, we'll be happy to answer them for you. Yes, Director Rosario.
Hi, this is a great project. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Director Rosario. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. You talked about fragmentation of the habitat. What role does that existing road to the pond play in fragmentation?
Well, the road to the pond doesn't really provides a great corridor there for movement. One of the slides that we showed, we delicately placed rocks to kind of remove some of the erosion factors that were going on with livestock operation. And those rocks also provide a temporary refuge as the frogs are moving into the pond. It was interesting you asked that question because on the day, to the final one there, the lower right-hand corner, there's actually 12 inches or more spacing between those rocks. Enough to kind of procure the livestock from moving through there and damaging that embankment, because we want that pond to hold 2.5 feet of water. but also to provide the metamorphs. That earlier picture it shows you with the regional parks amphibian ambassador, that's a young red-legged frog. Give them a place to hide. With movement patterns studies, red-legged frog can go 1.5 miles from pond site to pond site. So this pond is positioned strategically near a pond on the Owens property that Robert's crew worked on several years ago with me. So we're creating these movement patterns so the frogs can go from pond to pond to pond. And just up from this pond, there was another pond that was done. So great question. 1.5 meters, and the rocks provide protection. And the corridor, the road is just they're moving at night. There's nothing out there.
Okay. And then on top of that is how are the red-legged frogs dealing with the prolonged drought?
Well, it's interesting you asked that question because we had to wait on this project. It was a 2-year process, and we were waiting on the final permit. And we were actually gonna go last year, but we had all those catastrophic fires, so it was a no-go. And when we were doing the work, I actually recovered several red-legged frogs that were underneath that vegetation mat around it. So the vegetation mat, as Robert was talking about, that's the breeding habitat. That's where the female deposits the egg, and then that egg sinks into the water. So that's why that little oasis is sitting there, to provide them with that refuge there. So they're actually underneath that when you're starting to do the work. So when the buckets are moving, somebody's right there watching. So we don't, yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Director Wieskamp?
Well, it's amazing to me, the size of that frog and the thought of how far it can go from one place to another. I live in downtown Livermore, and behind me is the Arroyo. And typically we have the tiny, tiny little frogs, and we start hearing them. But we've only had water in there for like 3 days. Can they survive for an extended period or not? I've got a few in my yard, in the north side, that croak at me every once in a while. But what about out there, the native habitat?
Yeah, so Director Wieskamp, I think the frog that you're describing goes by several names. The Pacific tree frog, Pacific chorus frog. It's all the same frog. You just change the book,
Okay.
Hyla regilla, but it goes cricket, cricket, cricket. That frog, the males come to the ponds first. So they have more resiliency as far as being able to handle the drought. And they're basically sitting there calling females to come to those oasis of water to reproduce. And they have a much faster reproductive rate. I mean, those eggs are sitting in the water 12, 16 days, and boom, they hatch, and the larvae are out within 2 months. So red-legged frog, we're looking at 3.5 months.
Okay. Could these specific frogs survive in my yard?
Oh yeah, people have them in their ponds and things. I've heard of it.
Okay. Well, we worry about them because we're used to the February sound of multitudes of frogs out there doing their thing.
Yeah.
But congratulations on all your work for the red-legged.
Thank you very much. It's a great partnership with Roads and Trails. They're a great group of guys to work with and staff.
Good.
I would like to just add, this is really, truly beautiful, and so appreciate the work that you're doing to protect these various different species, the red frog and, some of the salamanders, and obviously protecting birds as well. That's very much appreciated. It's a really important thing that we do here at the East Bay Regional Park District, and we definitely appreciate your talents that you put forward.
Yeah, we have a really good group of employees that really take pride in the work they do, and it shows every time they get a chance to get to work. And so this is a critical part of what we do in MAST, and this team is dedicated to, meeting that cause.
Yeah, we very much appreciate it. Would we be able to get more, from the federal government and the state government, some statements awarding us for the, not us, the board members, but the work that the staff is putting forward to protect all these species. We should be getting, appreciated for that at the state, federal level. Is that a possibility for us to request?
Well, anytime I have the chance to put the team up onto a pedestal, I'm going to take that opportunity. So I probably need to work with David to figure out, what type of awards are out there that we could apply for. But that would be great to just, show the team that we do care and that the state is recognizing their efforts because they put in that hard work every single day.
Oh, they very much thank you for that.
Absolutely.
It's
all who help you.
Yeah, it's great work. Thank you. We appreciate you. Yes, Mr. O'Connor.
Yeah, I guess the question to Dave is this also considered mitigation? Is this part of any mitigation requirement we have in the district?
That's a great question, Jim. This particular project was funded through the Regional Parks Foundation. So kind of what our directors were leaning towards. There are some state and federal funds that have been applied to this. There are some mitigation ponds that we do. This particular one wasn't that. Some of the other ones that are going on in the Tyler property that are supposed to be opened, those are mitigation ponds. This one was a pure restoration, provide a link, a corridor of movement. It ultimately makes it over to the Tyler because I don't want to steal too much time, but there's about a couple more ponds that we've done that move south out to the Tyler where that power towers, and then pretty much red-legged frogs stop down that ridge. So with the hope is that to extend that down, but frogs only go, they read the book, that wait a minute, they don't read the books, but we want them to go 1.5 miles. So we got to make them a little closer. We don't have Olympic frogs out there.
You can't train them to go that far.
Yeah. Guys, leap over to the next pond.
Yeah. Just show another one of those beautiful little, whatever they're called, that you give out to people with them on it.
We'll give them a patch.
Yeah.
But when we put them on the frogs, we put radio telemetry on them. That's how far we know they go.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Great. Send the most attractive female frog ahead and attract them to come.
Thank you very much. Wonderful presentation and great.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions, anybody?
No, frog look good.
Okay, so nice to see you all.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Well, that was the last item specifically on the agenda for presentation. We do have next public comments.
Yes, Chair Corbett, we do have one member of the public, Mr. Kelly Abreu. I just admitted.
Okay. Hello,
Mr. Abreu. Mr. Abreu.
Okay.
Okay, you have 3 minutes. You may begin.
Hi. Well, we just heard from the red-legged frogs of Pleasanton Ridge. But backing up a moment, I'd like to remind you all that you can never be sure how your public relations to outside communications is going to be received by the public. Early this morning, that's literally like 2 hours ago, I was out there walking next to Vargas Plateau Regional Park. I spoke with a bicyclist who works for Google. And he told me about how he read all this wave of public outreach communications a while back, telling everybody just how awful this Mission Peak was. I'm sure you all remember that. There were dozens of news stories and newspapers, TVs, and his friend in Concord or Walnut Creek read about that. And he heard from his friend. His friend told him, yeah, I'm always looking for more trails and peaks in the Bay Area. I'm going to go down there next week to Mission Peak and go, I don't know if he's riding a bike or walk, but he's going to go visit Mission Peak the next week. That was the kind of outreach you did. We appreciate it, So we're all assuming that district management here, that you're the steward, that they're the stewards of the parks. You're reaching out to engage with the community. You all want to keep up to date with the things that are happening out there in the field. But all of you knew that what was going to be happening out here at Pleasanton Ridge on Sunday, February 6th, 2022. That was 2 days ago. But only 2 or 3 brave park rangers, very brave park rangers, they went out there. They hung out with their pickup trucks, working a quarter mile away in a nice, safe, secure, quiet location, not anywhere near. There was actually like 100 bicyclists, maybe more. I don't know. I didn't count, but I was there. I took the risk all by myself, unarmed. I went out there. And so I really think that the top management and politicians of the Park District could have sent a message. They could have gotten a true feel for what was happening out there on the ground. You could have 2 days ago, day before yesterday. You know, there's nothing like pressing the flesh, rubbing elbows with your constituents. There was a KPIX5 reporter out there. He did 2 separate videos. One was Friday, one was Sunday, broadcast on air. He spent a lot of time talking to them on camera. He did a powerful visual where he went out and stood on a narrow trail, and he said he was legal there as a pedestrian, but he would be illegal if you're riding a bike out there and whatever. These people were animated, they were motivated, they were on bikes, and most of them, and they had a lot of things to say, a lot of messages they wanted you to hear. I'm not going to tell you what they were. You can watch those videos. But really, when I see what you did with Mission Peak, where you go out there, set up tables, send out police, send up your PR. I'd like to, where is the outreach going? Where's their management? Where's the politicians? Your constituents were there, but you weren't.
Abreu, that's your time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else speaking this afternoon?
We have
Any
no
other
more
speakers?
public. We have no more public comments, Chair Corbett.
Okay, thank you.
As the greater public doesn't care about red-legged frogs. Too bad. They missed out.
Thank you very much. All right, so next item is committee comments. Any comments from any of the committee members?
I'd like to say that was a great agenda. How's that?
Yeah, well done.
Me too. I was quite impressed as well.
Yeah.
And it was also, oh, so sorry. Go ahead, Director. Sorry.
Thank everyone for sitting at the meeting and getting us all the information. It's great.
So nice to hear the wonderful work that our staff is doing, and also those that they're not staff, but they're others that we have contracts with that are doing wonderful work as well. So thank you from everyone. All right. Any other committee comments? Next comments will be Assistant General Manager comments.
Chair Corbett, I'm just getting back from a week in frigid, cold Colorado, so I don't have any comments for the committee today. Just glad to be back in sunny California. Never experienced -14 before, but that was a new thing for me. So
-14. Oh.
Never experienced that before. It was pretty cold, but glad to be back.
Unfortunately, no fires where you were either.
Yeah, no, but my friends that live in Loveland were pretty close to it and got to see it and told it was pretty a bizarre experience to have a fire in December. So, but.
All right, well, welcome back.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And with that, then